What's up, guys? Welcome back to Spoil Ryan TV. Ben's back again, and he has a few thoughts about the whole Jussie Smollett situation. You guys don't know who Jussie Smollett is, if I'm saying his name correctly. He was a actor on a popular TV series called Empire. Depending on when you watch this, it could be on the air or off the air. But yeah, he was an actor on the show. Gained a lot of popularity very quickly because of his character, who I believe was homosexual, and also, more importantly, regardless of his sexual orientation, he was an excellent artist as far as music goes, and everyone loved the character. But recently, he got into a lot of trouble because he was allegedly attacked. He claimed he was the victim of a hate crime, and it was a bit shaky even from the beginning. Everyone believed him. A lot of the quote-unquote leftist news outlets grabbed onto the story and just went wild with it. It was a huge story. Even a lot of people on Instagram, like a lot of influencers on Instagram, as far as comedy and making all these sketches on Instagram goes, even they were like posting their support for Jussie or Josie. I believe it's Jussie. Is it Josie or Jesse? I'm gonna say it might be Josie. Josie Smollett. Someone correct me in the comment section. I'm gonna call it Jesse for now, because that's what I've been calling it the whole time. I know I'm saying his name wrong. I know I'm saying it wrong. But yeah, he was attacked, and like I said, all these influencers on social media were attacking him, and well, not excuse me, they were supporting him, and they were saying that they were going to, they're in his prayers. That this is proof that America's still racist, and they hate gay people, they hate black people, they hate successful gay black people. And then there was this whole case where the police department was saying that he actually lied, and then he actually got arrested for this. So now the side's playing too. People are saying that, oh, he lied. People are saying no, it was nothing really this actually happened, and the police got it wrong. He was released recently, I believe. All the charges were dropped. Take that for what it is. Some people say that he was let go because the media or the police department was under a lot of pressure to release him, even though there's a lot of evidence saying he was lying. I'm not going to get into that because I brought this up in class, and things got heated very quickly. Well, not heated. There was definitely people who were, they have their strong opinions about Mr. Smollett. So I'm gonna let Ben take it from here. We got Trump by the soundbite from Trump right here. Let's see what Mr. Shapiro has to say about the whole situation.
By MAGA country. Do you ever hear that one? That's an embarrassment not only to Chicago, that is an embarrassment to our country, what took place there.
Last night in Michigan, President Trump weighing in on the Jussie Smollett saga. He says the FBI and the DOJ will, quote, review what happened, why the case was dropped, leading some lawmakers to accuse him of being a racist. This is from the Congressional Black Caucus, saying, quote, the president's silence on the rise of white nationalism across the country only signals his complicity. Where was his call for an investigation when white nationalists marched across the campus of the University of Virginia? Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel also slamming the president, claiming that he is the reason that Smollett allegedly faked his hate crime.
Let me just say this even before the video continues. I don't think a president in America's history has faced this much backlash ever. Not even Nixon got this much hate. It's crazy how much hate Trump gets on a regular basis. Now, I'm not saying he's perfect, but damn, don't you guys get bored of doing this? Like, a lot of people criticize him. Don't you guys get bored? Like, come on, man.
Let me be really clear about something. The only reason Jussie Smollett thought he could take advantage of a hoax about a hate crime is for the environment, the toxic environment that Donald Trump created.
Here now, Ben Shapiro, editor-in-chief of the Daily Wire and author of the new book, The Right Side of History. It's the #1 New York Times bestseller. They cannot keep it in stock. Ben, congratulations on the new book. Good to see you tonight.
Yeah, great to see you too.
So, what do you make of the women from the Congressional Black Caucus and Rahm Emanuel saying, look, this kind of thing, this Jussie Smollett thing, wouldn't be happening if it weren't for the tensions that exist in this country thanks to President Trump?
Well, it's obviously untrue. I mean, we've seen racial hoaxes before, going all the way back to Al Sharpton in the 1980s. The story here is that there is an actor who wanted to increase his pay, according to the Chicago Police Department, and so he decided to perpetuate a racial hoax and slander half the country in the process, believing that it would make him more popular and more marketable, particularly with the people in Hollywood. That's the entire story. And he didn't mind if he slandered the Chicago Police Department. He didn't mind if he slandered Rahm Emanuel, the city of Chicago. By the way, it is worth noting that the CBC representative saying that President Trump's feds didn't investigate Charlottesville. It's just not true. The FBI did investigate Charlottesville. The DOJ did a civil rights investigation of Charlottesville as well. So that is just factually false.
Let's take a look. This is the host, Anthony Anderson, who's hosting the NAACP Awards. And at that awards ceremony, Jussie Smollett had previously been nominated for Best Supporting Actor Award. And here's what the host said about that.
I hope he wins. I'm happy for him that, the system worked for him in his favor because the system isn't always fair, especially for people of color.
I think that's very interesting. He said the system worked for him in his favor because the system isn't always fair. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could read into that statement.
Well, it seems like what he's trying to say is that social justice ought to trump individual justice. In other words, he believes the criminal justice system is biased against presumably black people and gay people, and Jussie Smollett happens to be black and gay, and therefore, even though he's obviously guilty by all available evidence and according to the prosecutor's office that just dismissed the charges, he's guilty. Despite that, he should be let off the hook because it's sort of payback for the system not working for other people. That is a fundamental violation of principles of justice. If somebody is guilty of a crime, they ought to do the time, regardless of their intersectional credentials being in order.
Yeah, I just go back to the fact that he's still saying that he was a victim of a hate crime. So I want to know why he's not pressing for an investigation
Shapiro's laughing.
into what happened. His lawyer said this morning that it's possible that the brothers that we saw in this whole story maybe were wearing whiteface underneath the mask that led Jussie Smollett to think that maybe there was a white person that was assaulting him. It just gets crazier.
And my theory of the crime is that it was actually Virginia Governor Ralph Northam dressed in blackface and then dressed in whiteface on top of the blackface. That's my going theory of the crime.
Moving right along. The Economist came after you. They were talking about your book. They did an interview with you on the book, which is, talks a lot about what's happening in the country, about Judeo-Christian values and Greek tradition and subjectivism and individualism and basically the degrading of Western society and the social and political fabric of the country. It's very interesting digging into what your book is about. But they called you the alt-right sage without the rage, and then you got upset about that, justifiably so, for good reason, and then they went back and changed it. They changed it to Inside the Mind of Ben Shapiro, a radical conservative. What say you?
Well, there's no such thing as a regular conservative. So, frankly, I'm embracing the title. It's like Beto O'Rourke. I'm rad, dude. I can skateboard and everything, brah. But what is amazing about it is to be ignorant enough to call me a member of the alt-right when I have probably been the leading antagonist of the alt-right for at least the last 4 years. I was their #1 target online, according to the ADL in 2016. I still have to hire security to walk me back and forth to synagogue because of the alt-right. To label me that way just demonstrates either the ignorance or the malice of members of the media who don't wish to do a simple Google search.
I mean, there's definitely a fascination with you. When you read this article, they're trying to figure out why you're so popular. Why do kids at college campuses care what this guy has to say? They talk about how you're impeccably dressed and you're sharp in every way. They can't figure out, Ben.
Well, I mean, obviously, it is because of my great handsomeness and physical size. I'm very intimidating, and people are just attracted to me the same way that they would be to Tom Cruise. That's just who I am, and that's what my wife tells me anyway.
All wives should tell their husbands that. Eric Holder said, I wish we could go back to, the president wants to go back to when America was great, and he sees that as a racist assessment in the president's eyes. You talk a lot about what makes the idea of America great in your book. So what would you say to him about that comment?
I mean, it's an asinine comment. Really, there are two views of the United States. View number one is that the United States is founded on eternal, true, immutable, and good principles. And we haven't always lived up to those principles. But the story of America is that the foundational philosophy of the country is inherently good and rooted in human nature and natural law and God's creation. And that's what American philosophy is about. And again, it's a job of trying to expand that promise to all Americans. And then there's the view of Eric Holder, which is that America was founded on racial hierarchy, and that all of these ideas of Western civilization are essentially a facade in favor of perpetuating this evil power hierarchy. Well, if you feel that way, you have to rip up American civilization at its roots. I don't think most Americans believe that. I think most Americans do believe that America has been great in the past. There's no point at which America was, quote unquote, better across the board for everyone. But there are certainly moments in American history that we can point to. Was America not great when we liberated Europe? Was America not great when Martin Luther King was speaking on the Mall in Washington? Was America not great when we were defeating the Soviet Union in the Cold War, or when we were creating such prosperity that 80% of the world's population was lifted out of abject poverty since 1980? It seems like America was great all of those times.
Okay. Well, I can't say it much better than that. But yeah, this is a very controversial situation because the evidence was overwhelming that Jussie Smollett, or I'm gonna say Mr. Smollett now because I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing his name, his first name, Mr. Smollett is what was guilty. The evidence was overwhelming. It was pretty much in any other situation this would be a done deal, open and shut case. But for some reason, I don't even know how. I don't know what happened to have him be released, but he was released, and people were ecstatic. The SJW culture, or the SJW groups, the feminist groups, they were all ecstatic. Even the majority of the Black Hispanic population were absolutely livid. Well, not livid. They were absolutely overjoyed that he was released. It seemed like he was released out of nowhere because when he got locked up, I actually assumed that was it. The evidence was overwhelming because usually the police don't arrest somebody, especially someone who's a celebrity, unless it's a slam dunk case, because they don't want the backlash of them being, we were actually wrong, because it's very embarrassing for the department. So when they arrest him, I thought that it's a wrap. I didn't want him to get locked up. Obviously, I wouldn't risk prison on anybody, within reason, because prison's terrible. It's a terrifying place. I've heard stories, ridiculous amount of stories. People telling me about it. My friends telling me about it. It's a terrible, horrifying place to be. Regardless of your age, your ethnicity, your religion, you don't want to go to prison. So when he got locked up, or when he got arrested, I was like, damn, man, this is terrible. But if he did the crime, if he in fact did it, then it is what it is. Because him being arrested pretty much was going to show. Because a lot of cases come up where people don't necessarily tell the truth. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but a lot of false claims are going around these days. And the reason why it's happening is because the repercussions for doing it are almost not there. You just do it and then you're good to go. But when he got arrested, it pretty much was like was showing that if you make these claims and you're not correct, or you make these claims and you actively try to set this situation up, or you actively lied for whatever the reason, whatever his motivations was, anyone in the comment section can let me know, because there's a few different theories going around out there about as to why he did it. But you absolutely deserve to be punished for it, and then this would definitely deter a lot of people from making false accusations, even like false rape accusations. This would, like, hey, we're going to investigate this, and if you're lying, you're going to go to prison. But he was released, and that's good thing, bad thing. Is can be up for debate, but it's definitely going to make it a lot easier for people, if they are lying, to make these false accusations and now feel that they can get out of prison. And I'm pretty sure he was released because, again, he's a celebrity. He has the best legal team that he can afford, or the best legal team that whoever's representing him, or whose ever interests he represents, can afford. Ridiculous amounts of money went into his defense. A lot of people can't afford that, but a lot of people are going to take the situation and maybe do something a little malevolent and think that they're going to get away with it, and then it turns out that they can't. Don't let Jussie Smollett's release make you think that you can outsmart the police department, or you can get away with whatever, regardless of your political affiliations or your beliefs or your culture or whatever. The police are not completely stupid at all. But I was going to say not completely stupid, but they're not stupid. So you know, everybody needs to be more cautious and take this situation with a grain of salt. He was released. He was arrested. He was released, but that's not going to happen all the time. A lot of people were celebrating it again. Not going to celebrate it, but I don't. I didn't want to see him go to prison either, because again, I'm not one. I don't know. What happened. Fully myself. I have to research the case for myself. But like I said, I wouldn't wish prison on anybody. That again is terrifying, terrible, ridiculously horrifying. Going to prison, getting locked up for even just 6 months to a year in prison can just drive you insane. It'll rip you apart. So yeah, this is a very complex situation. Um, Ben obviously had his position, and he didn't hold back. He's not like me. He was like, this guy was obviously guilty. He got away with it because of reasons. Maybe the police department was under pressure. Maybe he just had a really good defense, whatever it is. And now it's going to perpetuate this narrative that if you're a celebrity or if you're of a certain race or ethnicity or gender or sexual orientation, you can get away with whatever you want. That's not necessarily the case. And yeah, Ben was very straightforward about it. He said this guy's guilty, but he got away with it, and that's not right. Like I said, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Keep it civil, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, peace.